Okay, the US government is sending information over the blockchain, and that's a big deal for technology. Please stick around if you're into crypto, especially if you're into altcoins like XRP or things like that. I want you to hear what I have to say, even though this is about technology. Just a disclaimer, this channel is not about crypto. This channel is about technology, and I'm here to educate people. I'm not here to talk about buying or selling things. So earlier this week, there was a press conference, and the U.S. government, the U.S. Department of Commerce was talking about how they're going to be sending things on the blockchain. Yesterday, that happened. And the reaction was extremely poor because they listed a series of crypto that they're using, and the people who were not invested in those particular cryptos were very confused or hurt or just all around, well, I'll say confused again. Today, the market's reacted. This is what's here on the screen, is pretty much every coin except for stable coins like this and altcoins tanked, and they are still in a correction, we'll call it. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just showing you for reference why I'm making this video. Okay, here's one of the news stories. This is CoinDesk's article talking about it, pointing to the government release. It was too complicated to show on the screen, but I'll show you an excerpt. They said, the department published an official hash of its quarterly GDP data released for 2025, and in some cases the top-line GDP number, to the following blockchains, and it lists all the ones you see here on the screen: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Tron. You can read it. But basically, it was saying that the data was also disseminated through coordination with Oracle's Pyth and Chainlink. Those are the ones that upset people. I'll get into that. And they use the exchanges Coinbase, Gemini, and Kraken to help facilitate the department's publishing. So let me explain what all of that means for those who are extremely confused, why they picked these particular cryptos to use and why not others. Because there's a lot of hurt feelings about that, and I want to clear that up. This makes perfect sense. So the blockchains that they used are the ones here on the left. The oracles that they used are the ones in the middle, and the exchanges that they used are on the right. That's exactly what was said in the excerpt from the document that was published from the Department of Commerce. Now, the blockchains here, the only purpose that they have is to act as public ledgers. They basically timestamp and secure the data in this case being the GDP reports. They timestamped them, they encrypted them, and they did it on a blockchain so anyone can follow it, trace it, and independently verify where it came from, whose hands it touched along the way. That way there's no virtual possibility of tampering with. That's why the government wants this. You can't tamper with it, and you can trace it back to its origin. I mentioned in my video on the 15th that China's already doing this with their entire shipping supply. Like their entire industry of shipping is already doing this. So stay with me. Now the oracles, that's Chainlink and Pyth, the reason why they use the oracles are just bridges between the blockchain and the regular internet. Not many coins can do this. There are some oracles, but not all coins are oracles. That's why they picked these two. And the exchanges, the only reason they did that is because the exchanges are helping them pay for gas. They're helping, the government gives them the money. They facilitate through the exchanges how to pay for when I say gas, that means like if you send information or any data over a blockchain, it has to be paid for by design. It has to be paid for in tokens. So the commerce is already built into the Web3 structure itself. I said Web3. I'm getting ahead of myself. The blockchain structure itself, it's already built into it. So you don't have to consider it. Like you can't actually send data without paying for it. And the exchanges help them pay for it. That's why they're involved. Now, there was a lot of people asking, why not XRP, or why not this token? Why not that token? Why only those tokens? And this is where everybody freaked out on the internet, on through all the markets. I'm going to explain that. XRP's main purpose is real-time cross-border financial transactions. It doesn't make sense here. They're not sending money. They're not sending money across borders. They are sending the GDP reports. And they're going to be sending other documents, but they're sending documents. They're sending information. They're not making financial transactions. That's why they didn't pick XRP. And that's why they didn't pick a lot of tokens, which I'm going to also explain why they chose the ones that they did. So the tokens that they chose for the blockchain, this is, like I said, the ones that create the ledger, that's signing, date stamping, time stamping, and encrypting the data. Why they chose those blockchains is what you see here on the screen. The number one reason, there's two reasons. The number one reason is broad ecosystem reach. You can read on the screen, but I'll just, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the most globally recognized. They are the biggest. The other ones that they chose, some of the busiest ecosystems, and they have massive on-chain activity and active developer communities. I know XRP does have an active community, but it's all controlled by Ripple. So, you can apply that to any other coin aside from XRP, kind of the same mentality. Tron processes more daily transactions than nearly any other chain. That's why, what they're doing, I'm not going to go read it off everything on the screen. You can pause it and read it. These are tried and tested. That's why they're picking these ones. Plus, they're stress testing. They're stress testing to see how each one of these perform under these conditions because of how wide and how far and how important the data is. They're stress testing all of these well-known, well-tested coins in many different formats, or I shouldn't say formats, many different applications, I should say, many different use cases. They're stress testing these to see how it goes because it makes sense. The second reason is, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, extremely decentralized. If you look at who the main ownerships are and developers and things of that, it's extremely balanced. It's extremely balanced. Layer 2s, that they're saying cheaper and faster. Of course, layer 2s are cheaper than layer 1s. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. You can skip over that part. You can read everything on the screen, but they have very good reasons to pick these and not the others. It wasn't favoritism. It wasn't politics. It wasn't business. But if you look at, for example, XRP's ownership and developer base, it's really heavy on the Ripple side. It's actually too heavy. If you were trading meme coins, you wouldn't trust that coin because too many developers own it. I'm not saying not to trust XRP. I'm not saying that at all. There's a very strategic reason why Ripple is doing what they're doing. It's a good coin. I own a lot of it. I think I own 424 XRP. There's nothing wrong with XRP. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense here. Like I said, XRP wasn't chosen because the ledger, it's transparent but not as widely integrated into the Web3 technology that they're using to transfer all this data. And it's designed for financial transactions. It's the next layer of things like Zelle. No, Zelle's a bad because Zelle's not cross-border. It's SWIFT. If you don't know what SWIFT is, that's okay. If you want to wire money to Europe or Asia, you're going to use SWIFT. It doesn't make sense. But basically, a lot of people misunderstood why, and they were expecting XRP to be included in this because for some reasons I can't explain, a large part of the crypto market sort of revolves around what Trump does and revolves around what Elon Musk does, and they misunderstood what was going on here. It's like, for example, they're using Pyth. What is Pyth great for? Pyth is great for financial data. XRP is, okay. If you're older, here's a great analogy. XRP is Western Union, where Pyth is Bloomberg Terminal. It's like they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing at all. It just, there was a lot of confusion about it. And this is all technology based. Again, I'm not asking anyone to purchase or sell or do anything with money, with tokens. I'm about technology, and I wanted people to understand because there was a lot of people who misunderstood what happened. I hope that clears it up. If I need to do any follow-up videos, I will. If anybody wants to comment and ask questions, I will do my best to answer any of them. Have a great rest of your Friday.